Hello, my little geographical anomalies. Today we're going to do a quick lesson in gestures. Gestures are, of course, very short drawings, usually an action pose. The idea is to have a drawing that shows a human in motion. At the very minimum, a pencil and paper will serve just fine to do this project. Let's go. A couple things. One, humans are 8 heads high. Half of those heads are the legs. And another point is that the rib cage and the pelvis are both 1 head high. Keep that in mind as we draw. The first thing to put it down is the spine. The spine's going to show us what direction the body is. So if the spine's straight up and down, we can assume the body's straight up and down. Let's put a head on top. It's a lollipop. It's nothing fancy. Okay? On that line, we're going to put our rib cage. I know everyone in the world thinks that pelvis is just too big, but it's not. Your pelvis is made up of 3 bones, your 2 ilia and your sacrum, and it takes up a lot of space. Your arms do not come out from the center. They don't come out from the spine, neither do your legs. They come off of your shoulders. So your arms are going to come out like this. Okay? Arms usually run, including hands, to about here to mid-leg. Legs, believe it or not, and no one ever does, take up just about half of the body. So those legs look way too big, but when we start putting it all together, we actually add volume to them. Suddenly it's not quite so weird looking. A person. One of the most important things about gesture drawing is to draw from observation. You have to draw what you see, not what you know. You kind of have to forget the rules about what a human looks like when you're drawing, because sometimes things aren't going to make sense. When I say draw what you see, not what you know, that means that, yes, I know this arm is this long, and I know this arm is the same length, relatively. When that arm comes out toward me, that arm suddenly looks shorter. How am I going to reconcile that? I'm going to draw it as it looks here. We're going to talk about ways the body moves. So this person's standing straight up and down, right? When they stand straight up and down, you can see the spine straight up and down. You can see the hips and the rib cage straight up and down. But when you start twisting that spine, things happen. Now your hip goes up, at the same side your shoulder goes down, because you can see that curve of the spine. You'll notice also that while one leg is planted firmly, the other leg has to bend a little, because that corner of the pelvis has been pushed downward. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction on the human body. My little figure model here is cute. I'll do the trick in a pinch, but I want to go a little further. Don't judge. Action figures. I'm going to draw these guys as gestures. Notice the gesture is not going to be a finished drawing. It's going to be something quick, capturing the motion. Head. So, Snake Eyes' body is mostly forward, and it's almost directly upright. He's got his arms holding this sword, so there's going to be foreshortening because the sword's in front of him. I'm making adjustments as I go because I'm not a machine and I don't do things perfectly the first time. Notice I'm not doing the stick figure method. I'm actually making the body have volume as I go. I want to be able to see that things are going on in front of the body. For example, the sword he's holding is out in front of him. Storm Shadow's spine is tilted in this direction, and he is in profile. So his torso is not going to be as wide as Snake Eyes is. By the way, Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow, you may not be as much of a nerd as I am. His arms are less foreshortened because they're coming straight up. But they kind of get obscured by the head. So it's all happening in a very small area here. And that leg is coming straight out, so we're seeing all of it. Both legs are, in fact. Notice when you're looking at the gestures, Storm Shadow is stretched out. He's jumping, whereas Snake Eyes is crouched down, so his figure's compressed. A gesture of an action scene. Basically, they could be any two humans, just as long as those two humans are showing me a recognizable activity. To get the basic human proportions, a stick figure with a head, a rib cage, and a pelvis will absolutely work. Most people will be more comfortable with this method because they don't draw the human figure as often as a lot of other people. But some people will want to work with volume and with planes. It's really all about what works best for you. And at the end of the day, I'm going to want to see 4 gestures, recognizable actions, things that are happening. Are they waving? Are they playing a sport? Are they running? Are they jumping? Are they swimming? I want to be able to see that this person is doing a thing and recognize what that thing is. If it involves having a baseball bat to play baseball or a basketball to play basketball, that's fine. If it's dance, I should be able to tell that that person's dancing. And these drawings should not take more than 2 minutes apiece. If you're spending longer than 2 minutes, you're getting into fine detail range, and that's not what this assignment calls for. We're going to do a little bit more with detail in the future, but for now, we're staying clean, we're staying simple. 4 gestures. No dabbing. My dude. That's the long and the short of it. Was that a pun? That was a pun.